Sony and Microsoft have announced a partnership that centers around joint development of cloud tech using Microsoft's Azure platform, with the goal of supporting their individual game and content streaming services. Sony President and CEO Kenichiro Yoshida notes in a press release that, even though the companies are competitors in many areas, he believes the joint development of future cloud solutions will contribute greatly to the advancement of interactive content. The partnership sees the two companies exploring joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure, as well as using current Azure data center-based solution for Sony streaming services, while the arrangement aims to streamline each company's own offerings. The press release detailing the partnership also notes that the efforts will lead to better platforms for developers and content creators. This arrangement also sees the two working together on semiconductor and AI technology. For AI, that means Sony is exploring ways to incorporate Microsoft's AI platform and tools into Sony's own consumer products. The hardest part about making a successful indie game is getting people to notice it. There are a number of ways to reach out and find your audience that are quite well known, incorporated using Twitter, Discord, YouTube and Facebook. These are used by most indie developers to drum up support for their games. But what if I told you most indie developers do not use these platforms in the correct way? The two biggest culprits are Twitter and YouTube, but the same argument applies to all social media platforms. I am going to tell you how you can subtly change the way you use Twitter to improve your chances of success. But more importantly, I want to share with you how you can use YouTube to build a huge community that is not only interested in the current indie game you are making, but all indie games you will ever make. And it does not involve emailing thousands of YouTube streamers. To discuss the basic concept, let's start with Twitter. Twitter is a fantastic social network for indie developers, and probably the first place a developer goes to build up a community. There are some fantastic popular hashtags, which can really help get a lot of eyes on your games, including #PoundCakeGameDev, Indeed and #PoundCakeScreenshotStudy. However, eyes on your work does not necessarily translate to paying customers. I do not like using the term paying customer for such an artistic passion. But if we are being realistic, this is the decider on the commercial success of an indie game. The issue is that most of the audience behind #PoundCakeGameDev, Indeed and #PoundCakeScreenshotStudy are either fellow developers or press. Both of these audience groups are very valuable and should not be ignored. Other developers provide a great environment to share your passion with peers, and the press can be a huge help in promoting your game. However, they do not necessarily translate into someone who will go out and buy your game. I, as a fellow developer, love tracking the progress of other indie games and put as much support behind them as I can. However, the fact that I develop video games in my spare time means that I rarely have time to play them. Therefore, I do not buy that many. You will be surprised how many other developers fall into this boat. As powerful as the press can be, there are thousands of games for them to cover. The chances of a substantial amount of coverage for an indie game is pretty slim. Recent trends have also shown that traditional press does not have the impact on a game's success that it used to. I am not trying to take away the value of press. However, it is not the gold ticket some of us may expect. If you want to target groups of people that you think will be likely to go out and purchase your game, then you need to target the areas and hashtags you think they will be focused on. Most gamers will probably not be looking at #PoundCakeGameDev, they are far more likely to be looking at pound key gaming. However, pound key gaming can be an oversaturated audience to target. Therefore, you stand a much better chance of targeting smaller groups, where you are more likely to get noticed. This also provides the added impact of being able to focus in on and which, with Game Empire, I regularly post to pound key fitness on Twitter, and when it comes to Reddit type, I'm quite active in the Tycoon subreddit. This has provided a much richer and more engaged audience for me to interact with and has led to a chronic button Discord server, seeing a nice flow in traffic from these social groups. The problem of building a solid and committed community interested in your work still remains. Twitter does enable people to follow you, but in my experience, the interaction on Twitter is a lot more disposable and not all that personal. Creating a personal bond with your followers is a key component to building a community of die-hard fans that will buy your games and spread the word of your awesomeness. It should be noted that it is incredibly important to ultimately point this community to the one place you have total control over, your blog. I discuss this in a different post on my blog, and thoroughly recommend you do not miss this vital step. See what I did there. However, that is a separate topic. A great social network to start to build that die-hard community is YouTube. As indie developers, we are very familiar with YouTube and the marketing potential it holds for our games. The first thing most developers think of when they think of using YouTube is getting big streamers to play their games. This has shown huge results for a number of indie games, and is a great tool in our utility belt of marketing. However, getting big streamers to even read your emails is no easy task. Also, current trends have shown a change in the impact of these videos on sales. It seems that viewers are less likely to buy a game now just because their favorite YouTuber is playing it. Another option developers go for are creating their own channels and uploading development vlogs or streams. This is another great option to engage with your community and provide a more involved perspective for your fans. However, it still falls into the category of primarily interacting with other developers. Most channels about game development are going to appeal to fellow game developers. This is great if you are looking to help others out, showcase your skills, and gain the respect of the community, possibly leading to job offers. However, if you are looking to market your game, it can have limited reach. Do not get me wrong, there are going to be many gamers out there who love to know the nitty-gritty details of what goes into the development of their favorite games. However, focusing purely on this type of content ignores possibly the biggest audience group you could be targeting, your average gamer. We discussed the concept of targeting pound key gaming, a more niche hashtags, rather than pound key gamer death, to appeal to more gamers. The exact same can be done with your YouTube content. The type of content you create appeals to different groups of people. By creating content which focuses on gaming from the perspective of a player, you are going to appeal to an audience that not only plays games, but also buy games. The reason they come to YouTube is not to find out about how to make a game. They come to find out about what games to play. If you can tap into your player side, as well as your developer side, then you can create content which appeals to the wider community of video game players. By building up a community of fans that come to your channel with the interest of playing games, you will find yourself with a community that is much more likely to be interested in buying games. By interacting with your community through video form, they are also able to form a more personal bond. They watch and subscribe to you because they enjoy your content. Your content is heavily driven by your personality. Therefore, They are much more personally invested in yourself and the content you create. I am still in the early days of building the Chronic Spartan Gaming channel, but after 4 months of continuous effort, I am starting to see genuine growth and support from the gaming community as a whole. I personally do not think a gameplay-only channel is the way to go. I feel this limits the reach and impact you can have on the platform. Being able to talk about games as well as play them opens up a larger pool of content to create. The challenge I am finding is keeping the balance right, to include content covering the game development side of things, as well as gaming in general, to not come across like you are there just to sell your games, but to also not forget to promote your development where possible. However, the benefit is the community that is building are really supportive and provide great feedback to help keep the balance. If you are genuine in your intentions and interest in gaming culture, people will see that and appreciate it. It can take a lot of time to create video content. The issue with that is that it is time taken away from game development.